going to talk today about making permission-based email work. How do I do that? I could say, my name is Jere Doyle. I'm the founder and president of a company called Prospectiv, which really focuses on acquisition. I've been in the business for about 11 years. And with me today is Mr. David Baker.
And I'm with Razorfish, one of the largest digital interactive agencies. Some of you may be familiar with us. I see a few familiar faces.
David flew all the way in from San Francisco for this, so we really appreciate it. It's great to see you. So Prospectiv, just quickly at a glance, we're focused on the acquisition side, so the filling the funnel with leads. Our main focus is on females. Our audience is 25 to 55-year-old. We do a lot of work in the pharmaceutical space, consumer packaged goods as well.
Jerry, my favorite focus is females too, 2 daughters and a wife. So Razorfish, again, we're one of the leaders in the space. We have a dedicated healthcare practice as well. And you know, it's interesting, you come to these sessions, we usually start out with doing a little focus group. So show of hands, how many have 3 or more email addresses? How many of you all answered email before you brushed your teeth this morning? How many have answered email while driving in a car? I just saw a really bad story. How many have answered email in church? Come on. Your children's soccer game? Yeah. Interesting. Email is pervasive. It's ingrained in everything that we do. We're doing some interesting studies to find out, right? To show that, is there this switch point where people adapt to email? You've heard that social media is kind of killing email, and the teens aren't using it. Well, the reality is when they get a job, welcome to the world of email. So it's interesting to see how pervasive it is, but it's starting to be fragmented a little bit in both its value, and hopefully this presentation will give you somewhat of a hierarchy and a flow of how you might look at it differently as opposed to just looking at creative samples. So Jerry, now we know that the focus group uses email. What do the industry charts say?
If I can get this clicker to work.
You have to hit it. So you can't have an interesting thing without industry charts.
That's right. I'm pointing it everywhere. I think it's the computer here, but let's see. I'll get up here. Okay, so you know, you're absolutely right, David. I mean, the sexy thing now is social media. We hear a lot about social media, but email is alive and well, and it's very effective for pharmaceutical marketers. A study done by Epsilon last year showed that consumers who are receiving emails from pharmaceutical companies are much more likely to put you in a favorable category and much more likely to be loyal to your brand. So it's a very effective marketing tool to reach your patients. Also, email is a very effective way to drive compliance. Again, the same study asked, are you more likely to take your medicine if you're receiving an email about your illness, about your condition, and favorable rating of just close to 50% said they're more likely to take their medicine, and also more likely to take the medicine from the brand that is sending them the email. So, you know, email is a very effective tool, David, and it's also effective for your social media strategy. There's no better way to jumpstart your social media, to build your fan page on Facebook, to get your YouTube videos out there than with email. As we heard earlier from Andrew and from Pat, email is on the conversational side of media, but it is a very well-known and accepted use of social media.
And let's not mistake this. Social media, when we talk about email, is not that perfect viral effort. You put a piece out there and hope that everybody syndicates it. I mean, there's lots of other methods today, but I think the thing you have to consider here is you can't game the consumer, meaning that if you're promotional, your social media environment may not support that type of promotional connection. I think Andrew, wherever he is, said it really, really well. You have to be very sensitive to how you manage dialogues, and email is one of them, but we'll lay out a few points here in a minute that I think will bring that clear.
Okay,
so Jerry, I don't know if I buy into email as an acquisition, but if you don't know me and I get an email, why would I engage? What's working? Acquisition's been a real hot spot. Can you actually acquire somebody through email, or does it have to be a preconceived intent search or other form?
Well, there's lots of ways to fill the funnel, David, and you can use many different methods to build your database of patients. Email is one of them. I think the first question is, how, you know, from a standpoint of how that we get asked by our clients is, should we do it unbranded or should we do it branded? And there's no right answer to that. I mean, it really depends on who you are, what your brand is, what your objectives are. We heard that earlier. I mean, clearly a branded acquisition is probably going to be stronger down the road, but you may want to start with an unbranded side and then shift them over to branded. Here's an example of osteoporosis, two different types. I think that's Amgen's on the left, the Know Your Bones, and then the Fosamax on the right. So again, it really depends on your objectives, what you're trying to do. Both will work. Maybe a little bit easier on the front end to do an unbranded because of the fair balance and what have you, as we saw earlier in the presentation,
So that's reach. How about signing up?
Well, why do they sign up? They sign up. You have to give to get. Why is a consumer going to subscribe? We like to call them subscribers. Subscribe to your email database list. Obviously, things like coupons and vouchers are a very effective way to get people into the funnel. But also, people want information. They want information about a diagnosis. They want information on conditions. They want to be educated. So it isn't. You don't just have to give the free sample or the voucher to go into the doctor's office. Giving them good reasons to sign up based on conditions and information also is very effective.
Now, what are they doing on sites now? I mean, obviously there's some creative landing page optimization, other ways to talk to people uniquely through search and email.
Right. There's three. We break down the acquisition into three different types. First, on your website, and websites. I don't think there's anybody out there that's not collecting database patient information on their website. But I think again, it's back to objectives. Many websites are designed for information, for education, so it's hard to find where to sign up. Why should I sign up? Did I go there to sign up? But certainly, using your website is your best tool. I think the pros are very high quality. Of anybody who signs up on your website will probably be some of your best patients. But again, low volume and pretty expensive to drive traffic to your website.
And I know you can't talk about acquisition without talking about search and so forth, but let me ask you real quickly. We've done some studies that have actually shown that people acquired through email have more persistency through the email channel, which means I was engaged that way and I have a propensity to respond and interact with email. How about search?
Well, I think we've seen the same thing, by the way. People who are getting through from an acquisition email have a very good propensity to respond. Search is going to get you some of your best customers. I mean, they're out there actively pursuing you. So again, I think as Pat said, it's kind of low volume, high quality. Expensive. It's a very dynamic world, search, the bidding. So it's a very effective way. I mean, I think most people are using search. But again, it's very hard to drive a lot of volume there.
Absolutely.
So we talk mostly on our third bucket, which is online campaigns. And that's really to fill that funnel with as many people as possible. There's a little bit of a trade-off. You're going to have a lower quality than your search, than your website. But if you do it, we'll talk about it in a minute, if you do some things, you can really ensure that the trade-off between lower quality, higher quantity, lower price will pay off. Online campaigns start with email, as you said. Very effective way to drive traffic into your database is using an email acquisition partner. But you can also do it through banners, through text links. We prefer the CPA model, performance. You pay for what you get. And it's a very effective way to add a lot of volume to your patient.
How many of you will actually run CPA campaigns through email? Just a few? It can be a little arduous if you're trying it because unlike I create one email and give it to a publisher, in the CPA world you typically create multiple versions to see what works and they do a test and then release. But when they open it up to a network, much like media, it's a little more of a challenge on your internal capabilities to create multiple assets, get them approved, update them regularly. So to run a persistent program, you really have to commit to it.